Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 29th of September to the 5th of October. And I watched all of these videos on the car ride home. It's 8:50 at night. I didn't watch it while I was driving. I was down in Maryland with my parents, and we drove up, and while I was in the back seat or shotgun, I watched all of these videos, or in the case of some of them, I listened to them. But yeah, just context of where my headspace is at. I don't really have any videos that are not good at this point. But in such an instance, I had a suggestion that I talk about an anime that I watched this week that I really didn't like. It's like my least favorite anime now. This is impromptu. So an anime that I thought was not good is the special Lupin the Third, the Steel Napoleon's Dictionary, which I'm just gonna abbreviate to Napoleon's Dick. Napoleon's Dick. My God. Boy. So if you don't know about Lupin, which I'm going through all of the Lupin series, all the specials, a lot of them, and finishing up all the TV episodes. So I'm at the end of this month, hopefully I'll have seen all of Lupin. Yeah. But this is easily the contender for the single worst Lupin I've seen, and one of the worst anime I've ever seen. And maybe it's not that bad, but it looks awful. It looks like complete ass. There's no director attached to this. There's a supervisor, and the supervisor happens to be Osamu Dezaki, who, is my favorite director. But there's not one. I'm pretty sure not a single one of his techniques are in here. And I watched all three of his other specials. This is the fourth one, that he did before and after Napoleon's Dick, that he also storyboarded. So he actually gave a shit, and those specials are way better. I just don't think he was I don't think he was present for this, and he just has his name on it. I don't know what the fuck happened here. There's like there's other people credited, multiple storyboarders, multiple people. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, I guess, and there's no single. I don't know. Were they rushed, or I have no idea. I looked at Annie Page's Ben Edgar had a blog entry about it. And he's like, this is the worst looking Lupin, period. Like, it's terrible. It's not visually interesting, bland, but also has a lot of really ugly drawings of the characters. It's not that the character design itself is all that bad. It's actually similar to the other specials. It's just poorly done. It's poorly drawn. Like, the proportions are awful, and it moves like ass, and it's baffling, especially with what happened before and afterwards. The two specials the special that came before, and the year before, and the year after, they're fine, and this is a complete outlier. And I think the majority of it is just how bad it looks. It's really embarrassing. But the rest of it's not great either in terms of the story. Like, it's supposed to center around a race, but I don't even remember when the race started. It just happens in the middle of it, and the cars aren't that interestingly drawn. It's mostly in the details. I think a lot of people would watch this Lupin special and be like, that was boring, right? I hate boring shit. I hate mid. I hate having to sit through that shit. That's the worst. But like, it was very insulting with a lot of these details, and especially in the grand scheme of watching all this Lupin stacked against these other things, and especially that it has Dezaki's name on it. It was so insulting. It was awful. I don't think there's a villain in it. There actually straight up just isn't a major antagonist in this fucking movie. Like, I'm struggling. I'm blanking. I can't even think of. I think it's like one of the, like, an army guy. It's basic. You know what it was? It was the leaders of the free world who like literally like the president of the United States and like the leaders of other major countries coalescing together, realizing they have to, in order to save a slumping economy, they have to take the treasure from Lupin's grandfather, which Lupin himself doesn't even know, and it's in this dictionary, this arbitrary Napoleon-ass, it's just Napoleon's dictionary, but it has nothing to do with Napoleon. And it's another fucking MacGuffin, and like, fucking Goemon like slices a bunch of rockets that are coming at them, like they're firing a bunch of missiles at this castle, and they're all in this like one tower, and he slices up all the missiles. They fire all the missiles at them. He slices all of them. They don't explode, and they attach all the pieces of the rockets around the tower, and then set them off. And they fire it, and the tower gets taken off, and they use it as a rocket to escape. And then it stops working because, of course, it inevitably stops, and they start crashing into the ocean. And then the credits play. It doesn't even have an ending. What the fuck was that? And it was so insulting to look at, and nothing of a story. I can't. And there was barely any other characters besides the main five. Oh, I'm not very good at this. It's because there's very little to really grab onto. It's awful. It's awful. But I think it's mostly in the scope of being a Lupin special, and having Tasaki's name on it was like the makes it really like irredeemable, and like, God, this is an embarrassment, a fucking embarrassment. It's awful. And I'm looking to be more like specific. If I don't want to promise videos, right? But like, I'm really interested in making a Lupin video at this point, if I'm seeing all of Lupin, right? And I won't really spoil what the video is going to be angled towards, but I definitely think I would want to talk about what Napoleon's dick does wrong that makes it a poor Lupin special, to then contrast with what makes a good one, you know? Oh my God. It's such ass, dude. Oh man. Yeah. That's the one. But let me talk about some videos that I thought were decent. I enjoyed them a middling amount. The first one is from The Guardian. A lot of people got pissed at this one, and I think the like-dislike ratio is kind of ugly. Let me just double-check it. It's very bad. It's 2.7 thousand dislikes to 1,000 likes. And I know why. It's definitely because like they don't really back up their points of like these characters are racist. They just kind of state that this character represents this. That's racist. And they don't like that. And they don't like the way these certain characters are portrayed. But my thing is that I don't think is worth really sniffing at this video all that much. They don't really give all that much detail, but like they're not condemning these shows. They're not saying Promised Neverland's a bad show, or Dragon Ball's a bad show, or One Punch Man's a bad show, or anything like that. They just have problematic elements to them they don't like, and they find alienating, which is something that they deal with as a people. Like that's a lot of their big, and that's also, as they explain in the video. I like that they counter this with, then why do we watch it at all if it has these racist blah blah? It's because there's a lot of them that don't have anything like this. It's a very it's a minority. It's an outlier that it has these problems. It has these problems for sure, and it still continues to have these problems. NHK's very recent commercial about explaining Black Lives Matter literally came out this year, incredibly racist, and they were forced to take it down for incredible insensitivity. It is a genuine problem. And they do kind of cite where that probably comes from, which is the depictions that Warner Brothers and Walt Disney Entertainment had in their cartoons back in the 40s and 50s, which a lot of these examples from manga and anime are influenced from, because that's what were brought over to their side, and that was all they knew how to but obviously a lot of these is kind of inexcusable, but I think fighting against people who have a problem with it when it's framed as their opinion, it really is. They're not really condemning the whole series or fans for liking it. Although they do also go after fans that are racist for condemning black cosplayers for cosplaying characters that aren't black. which is completely ridiculous and very insensitive and very obviously racist. Um, Totally fair for them to bring up. But I think what really kind of leans it more into decent in my view is, first of all, they get multiple people's voices and they seem very authentic to their experience, and they're really speaking candidly and honestly. But also they balance most of the video with how much they like anime and why it appeals to them and why black black Americans love it so much, um, as well as where a lot of them are doing something. When it says like, here's how fans are fixing it, it's not a very, I don't, it's not the best style, because anime fans are very sensitive to authenticity and transparency of this particular medium. So when you say that anime has a problem, this is how fans are fixing it, it's like, who are you? Right? But the way they're addressing it, which is shows like the Boondocks, shows like Cannon Busters, that they're actually involving in the fandom and starting to be into the industry themselves. And they're being vocal about this and still kind of embracing the medium and not trying to like cancel it. They say that several times in the video, and they're not trying to cancel this stuff. So I saw like Necro13 make a 30-minute response to this 8-minute video. It's really unnecessary, I think. And like, it's not worth getting all that hyped over. It's a guy, people's opinions, and I think it's well articulated, even though it's certainly glossing over what they find problematic, I think. And even though it's like, well, it's self-explanatory, there's no need to. Well, unfortunately, you're going to get this kind of response. And you're also, and I think they did do a disservice by not really hammering home a lot of examples of good black characters, like characters in Bleach. I don't know of any characters in Bleach. There's multiple characters of color, major characters that are very positively portrayed, and I don't think that show necessarily has a problem. And I think they actually show a picture of it's been a while, Yorichiro, cat lady. Sorry. They show a picture of her, but they don't address her in the video. But they kind of, because they show it in the frame, it's like, so do you have a problem with that character? And they're like, no. Really? I think there were some missed opportunities there. And they show Michiko to Hachin, but they don't talk about it. It's like, come on. I don't think it was the most nuanced take they could have had. I think it was a little too surface level for the accusation that they're throwing here. But it is a true accusation. I do agree with it. And I was liking that the video is mostly positive, actually, where they're very transparent and they're not trying to be antagonistic or abrasive with this idea. I think it was a very steady approach. I actually did enjoy this video, even though it wasn't the most comprehensive, thorough, awesome kind of video for me. I listened in to Anime News Network's interview with Retro Crush during ANN Connect. ANN Connect is, I guess, a multi-video kind of a little online convention type of thing. And they did a similar interview last week with the owner of Right Stuff. And that was a much longer interview and very interesting. But I wanted to highlight the Retro Crush one because I was like, I'm probably more interested in this one. And I know some of you guys are also interested. And it was an interview with Mary, who I'm familiar with on Twitter, and this other guy that I wasn't too familiar with. But it was moderated by Mike Toole, and I thought Mike gave some good questions. But the answers to me weren't all that candid, and I think it was a little too casual. I don't know. It was only 40 minutes. It wasn't the sort of deep, insightful, like, wow, I never knew that about Retro Crush or something. They kind of had their hands tied, I think, and they didn't want to give away too much, or they just kind of didn't have it at the top of their head at the time. They weren't very much open books in the same way. I think a lot of that has to do with the brevity. I'm certain. I think the 2 hours that the president of Right Stuff, the fireside chat that he had there, I thought that was very, very in depth. I thought it was a much better interview because I learned so much from that. But this one, I was happy that they did this, and happy to learn more. And I thought it was friendly and decent. I saw BaronJ's little update video, The Elephant in the Room, Where Did All My Videos Go? Which, like, it's kind of calling attention to his channel, which I looked, and yeah, a lot of his videos are not there. They're unlisted. Thank you for not deleting them. I much rather that than just wiping your fucking... it's just really... Because you don't know what those kind of videos could do to people. Maybe people watch those every so often when they're feeling down. Or they want to recommend that to other people, and they thought that was a very helpful video. Even if you don't have particular fondness of a particular video, if you have the power to keep it up, I think you should. Even if you maybe not proud of it, I get maybe unlisting the video it's a good compromise. Don't just delete a video outright just because you don't like it. I really don't like when creators do that. But why is BaronJ doing that? And specifically, most of the anime content. At first, I thought he was trying to do it to avoid some copyright stuff, but it's not. He's still doing some media type stuff that was, kind of flirting with the content ID stuff. And his explanation was a little bit like Burnout. He wanted to do different stuff, and he was realizing that he wasn't enjoying anime so much anymore because he found that he was just too critical lens and like has that feeling. And I think a lot of us have felt it before. When we're watching an anime, we feel like, how do I turn this into a video type of thing? It's very hard to once you get into that routine. I think it can really hinder your enjoyment factor for sure. Some people never get that, but I can understand where BaronJ was coming from, and he was opening up very personally about his struggle with ADD and where his life's been for the past couple of months, and I was very happy to hear that from him. I love transparency. I love creators being open and honest with their audiences. And I think that's what a lot of YouTube, the advantage that YouTube has, because you can't do that with television or movies or something, or books. That's why I think YouTube has a very strong advantage for that, and I think creators should take advantage of it more often, even though it is kind of uncomfortable for sure, and it can definitely lead to some really nasty stuff. But I think it's ultimately a good thing. So, I'm happy that Baron talked about that, opened up, and if he's in a better place, I'm looking forward to the content he does do, which I guess he didn't hard line say I'm stopping anime content, but he definitely hinted at I'm moving on from anime content, trying to do more stuff, probably more music. That would be great. And he's quite the audiophile, of course, that's his job. So that'll be great. I'd love to hear music from him, and I'll probably still talk about him, even though it's not directly anime related. And, I'll still keep my tabs on, of course. But yeah, I love his content, and I'm hoping the best for him. This is not goodbye or anything like that. It's just a exciting new chapter. I watched the Gigguk video. I got addicted to VTubers and regret everything. I think this is very similar to his gotcha video and probably some other videos he's done lately, where it's not really about anime, but about a particular anime adjacent lifestyle or hobby, I guess. And I like that he's distanced himself with this kind of diversifying himself, especially since and I was starting to get the feeling, especially with this video, I think he was alluding to it a couple of times, where it's like rip anime content on this channel. And I think he definitely was hitting a wall with regards to talking about anime. And I think a lot of it was like kind of shying away from, talking more broadly, because a lot of people had problems with his generalizations and various it's just very humble observations he used to do. But I think of this, it's more comfortable, in a more comfortable zone for him. And I like it. So I'm not a VTuber person. I'm still keeping my distance with it. Not intentionally avoiding it. I like my highlights on Twitter and the various speaking English type things, which is like the as much as you usually get surface level, I guess. And I love Cornet. Cornet is easily my favorite, and he did her justice in this. I was very happy that he was nice to my girl. But yeah, and I was also excited to watch this because Evynne was credited as an editor on this, because Alan wasn't so much of a VTuber person. So in order to sift through enough of the good clips, I guess they brought Eden on, and I think he was recommended from Dakota. That was awesome. That was great to see for Eden. I'm very happy for him. It didn't have too much of his style in the same way, but I think that was largely because from hearsay, I guess. Gigguk is very particular with how his videos look and what he wants, and I think that's great. It makes it, it's cool to hear that that he has more of a hand in how his videos are produced than just sending it to an editor whenever, like a lot of us sometimes do. But it was cool to see that. But I could tell, I thought the selection, in particular that Eden was providing of what to show the audience, was really strong. And the placement of all that, and of course a lot of that I'm sure is dictated by Gigguk as well. So I thought that was a really good guiding point. They kind of went through a rundown of all the different VTubers there are, and then general appeal and stuff like that. I feel like this kind of is mostly a very service level. A lot of people have made this type of video about VTubers and stuff. It's just certainly on a more elevated level, like a bigger platform is doing this for sure. It's a little different. But I didn't find too much majorly insightful or anything like that about the video. But I thought it was a good video in that regard. But, just fine overall. I was happy he made it, and and I'm happy with the direction he's sort of taking his channel at this point. Also, the green screen stuff he was doing, it was nice to see that, but it did seem a little awkwardly executed. He's definitely rusty to it. He's got to find some more natural uses for it. But I think it's corny, and I think it can be very tongue in cheek and funny. In some places, I did laugh a good number of times in this video, so props for that. I laughed. 8 out of 10. No, it's not how it works. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I watched Redbard's 30-minute video on translation, localization, censorship, and you. And I really appreciate it. It is kind of a hash of Cartoon Cipher's video last year on censorship and the translation localization, this whole discussion. And it's very hard for me to watch this video compared to that video, which I loved. It was my second favorite anime YouTube video of that year. One of the best videos I watched that year, period. Incredibly well produced and well argued and entertaining and compelling and packed with information that felt very firsthand. A lot of Redbard's information, as much as she says that she's cited other people, feels very secondhand. She's citing 4 different videos. She's talked about Canipa's video, Cartoon Cipher's video, and this that I just said. A couple other people's videos too, as well as various tweets and everything like that. It didn't feel a lot of first person new information type of thing. I think it's great that she's broadening this discussion to her audience. The more that this information gets out, the better, because I think that what she's talking about is substantive and genuine and worth bringing up. It's just not the most enticing way of doing it for me. It's really the on a visual component. It's very similar to her other videos of the very part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 sort of thing, and very static. It was weird choices, really. It's not too many anime clips, and mostly she was taking several videos of herself flipping through a Japanese to English dictionary, filming herself opening one up. It was just weird. It was just not the most compelling clip footage choice for me. It wasn't the most compelling video to watch in that regard, and that's why it's tough to stack against Cartoon Cipher, which it's just as important that the information is true and important as it is engaging and compelling and convincing, and her sense of humor is fine. It's not for me. It's kind of stuck in 2010, kind of. it's not, she just doesn't make the most compelling content for me. But I always appreciate the topics she talks about, and it's always factual. That's the really important thing. It's, I get that at the end of the day, that's really what needs to be important. But as someone who makes videos, especially the kind of videos I make, if you know the content I make, you can tell it doesn't quite excite me when she puts like footage of. I remember distinctly, like, I don't even remember what she was talking about. It was like footage of outside of convention, and it was like some fountain or something, and it was just that for like 20 seconds, and it's just B footage, and it's like, what does this have to do with anything? Right? It wasn't repeated footage, thankfully. I didn't feel like that, thankfully, but didn't do it for me in that regard. But can't knock it with how important this information is. And I like that she's sourcing other YouTubers too. I do think that's also very good. Happy to see that. But other than that, it's just like, yeah. I think it could have been maybe more compelling if like this was directed at maybe, say, Otaku Daikun, who made a video that is very much on the opposite end and exactly the kind of talking points that she is attacking in this video and countering. I mean, gosh, if she knew about that video, yikes. I think that could have been a little compelling. Very compelling if she kind of went after him in that way. But maybe she knew about it and she didn't want to confront people. I get that, especially the video I made. There's a couple instances where I didn't want to be confrontational. I didn't want that drama to taint it, I guess. But yeah, I was happy to see that for sure. It just wasn't the most entertaining, I guess. Oh well. I watched a magical video. How to introduce pre-Cure characters and why I didn't like Cure Earth's introduction. And I like the concept of this video. It's basically talking about what makes a good pre-Cure, like basically specifically the mid-season character reveal. Like they have the initial group of pre-Cure, and then it's like the magical sixth ranger, right? Or basically the new pre-Cure that comes out of either nowhere or an existing character. And Magical's describing kind of what makes those moments important and how best to articulate them, and contextualizing it in a very recent example in Healing Good Pre-Cure, the latest Pre-Cure that's airing right now, and how he was very lukewarm to it. I just think that kind of the thing that wasn't as compelling about this video is didn't like Cure Earth's introduction. It's very lukewarm. He's like, it's just weak. It's just, doesn't have a thing to it. And he brings up 3 other Cure examples that are more memorable and stronger. And I agree with them. I mean, at least the one I can agree with, which is Heartcatch. I did watch Heartcatch at least. And he talks about Cure Sunshine and how they integrated her character throughout the series, and they didn't have to focus on her that. She didn't have to be a major character to then make this emotional reveal that she's the pre-Cure or whatever. It's possible to do that. But Cure Earth just didn't have a thing to it. Nothing exciting about it, I guess, and didn't come at a super emotional peak. To me, I don't think he described the initial reveal all that well. As someone who hadn't seen it, I think that would have been kind of useful if he just kind of described how did it get revealed, and then he'd be like, why didn't I like it? And I think you can, and then give the other examples. And at the end of the video, he takes time to give an example of kind of a rewrite of what could be compelling, because the pieces that are there, what if you do this with them? It's not some people really don't like that when you integrate, I could do better kind of thing. I thought it was interesting, but it didn't add too much to the video for me, because at the end of the day, that's not what happened, right? It doesn't necessarily add to that in the same way. I think the examples you do bring up are helpful, and because they exist and are, you know what I mean. I think that would, I don't know if the rewrite was all that necessary. I get with the idea of like this, it was possible, and kind of debunking that idea that that was how it needed to go, right? I understand from that perspective, but I don't know. It's not the best choice for me personally. But again, I love the concept and the framing of it. It's just not the most well executed for me. But I did like hearing about Doki Doki Precure was the one where it was like the controversial reveal. I like that he stuck his neck out for that one. He's like, no, that's actually a really good one for this and this reason. And he's like, I get it's very divisive. You can unsubscribe if you want. But I liked that he went out of his way to give some further analysis. I thought it was great, and also the concept at the very beginning where he's like, I recorded a whole video for why I didn't like this transformation, and then I scrapped it because I think it's better to give you an idea of what they are, what good reveals are. I was happy that you gave that transparency of like, I could have steered the video in this direction, but I thought this was more helpful. I do like that. So yeah, I enjoyed that video a fair deal. Evynne made a Vagabond video. Let's go. We are infinite. It's Vagabond analysis. It's spoiler free. And to be honest, it was far more of a mood piece than like a concrete, this Vagabond is about this and this is what it's saying. I could kind of feel that, but like, I think the atmosphere that Evynne is making in this video with her voice and the music selection and the way that she's very hypnotically showing each panel, each page, kind of like in a scrolling fashion. I was just kind of wrapped up in that, and the delivery, and it's like, we are infinite, and it's very like soothing and like engrossing and hypnotic, and like it was a cool vibe. I really liked that. I didn't really get much out of the analysis because I was really caught up in that. And so maybe you could be like, oh, that can kind of get in the way of the substance, style over substance sort of deal. But I don't mind if it's Kino. That's sorry if that's a. I use the okay hand. All right, it's nice. Yeah, I really like it. I was thinking too. I always have something to say about your editing style I like that you're switching it up. You're doing different stuff with each video to tailor to the experience. It's very good. You're not just plugging and playing, right? I was thinking as I was watching this on my phone again on the ride home, because I was in the backseat of my car and I downloaded this video. At the time I was charging my video, so I was actually kind of a far distance away from the video. So it came to my mind that you're using vertical. I'm trying to imitate it on the screen here. You're using vertical pages, and so it takes up this much room, and it's like that big, and then there's all this empty space, negative space that you fill up with like a bigger version of the page, and because there's that it's just kind of decorative, but it's still kind of negative space. With how often you're doing that, and that's the whole motion of basically the whole video. This is kind of, I'm just using this as a way to maybe expand your mind a little. Like, whoa, you could do that? Just saying. Maybe. Have you considered vertical video? Now, I know that's cringe. That's very cringe for, especially for how many people watch on desktop. Watching a vertical video on desktop, I was like, well, what? It'd be on like the screen. You probably get really angry comments, right? But if you lean into it, maybe have a little disclaimer at the beginning. It's like, you may want to watch this on your phone, because if you export it in vertical, in like the instead of 1920 by 1080, it's 1080 by 1920. So it ends up being literally flipped like this. And if you do that and you put it on YouTube, the video, when you're watching on mobile, if you hit expand, it will fill up the whole screen like a TikTok video would, right? That's all their videos is vertical. And it fills up the whole screen. And it's actually kind of an interesting framing device. And it's especially strong if you're using nothing but vertical pages like that. I'm saying, like, if you're using the style of, like, it's just a page and scrolling up like this, imagine having that with the full verticality of the phone and how big a lot of people's phones are. Instead of having to keep it horizontal like this, you can watch it vertically, you get more of the detail, and, like, you see the pages a little stronger. Especially with how good Vagabond's art is, right? So I think they would have added something. And I'm not, do that next time, right? I'm just saying maybe out of the box, it's thinking like that. It's just a suggestion. I know it could be kind of cringe and maybe you don't want to do it. Totally fair. But I don't know. This is something I thought of when watching your video. And yeah, again, I think with keeping it spoiler free and you weren't going too much into details and scene analysis or anything like that, I was totally cool with you kind of going more thematic and broad, and the feelings and that Vagabond evokes out of you, that brings this delivery out. And the music choice, was this I know you composed music, so was that music you composed? I'm not sure. That was very good music choice if you chose it, but maybe you made it, and that's even cooler. that how much I attest to your artistry here. I really liked that, but that's as much as I would be able to say about it. Thank you for making that. Very nice. Well, and then let's talk about what I thought were the best videos of the week. Starting with the Japan Foundation and Cops in New York. Episode 1, Roundtable, Why Do We Study Anime and Manga? Featuring 4 academics. Legit academics. Have written books before. Academics. All people over 30. Academics. Maybe even over 40. Sorry if that's insulting. Like 3 or 4 people sent me this video like, hey, check this out. And I agree. It's very exciting, especially if this is a series that they're going to be doing of discussions and live chats where they're answering people's questions. And I thought this was a really good entry point, too, where they're really talking about the idea of academic material and their struggles with it in the early days. One of them had this really this really interesting story about the start of Mechapedia, which is the magazine, I guess, which has hundreds of articles, but it's not really freely accessible on the internet. I think you have to be a part of a certain thing or whatever, or subscribe to it. I don't know. It's not freely accessible to the public, but it's okay. At least they're doing the work, I guess. But not a lot of them are on YouTube. I'm getting ahead of myself. But they were talking about like one of the first issues of Mechapedia, and I guess they had commissioned somebody to get their cover for them, and it's a very Orientalist, racist, not good cover, and they had to quickly change it. They're like, oh my God, don't, So that was kind of an interesting story, and also kind of like how they each got into anime and manga, etc., which I thought was interesting. And, I liked that one of the questions they answered was that one of them posed, actually, and specifically posed. And then when they didn't fully answer the question, he's like, no, but like, what's our problem? What's the thing that we have shortcomings with that we find as, like, what's probably not great about academia? I thought I very candid and very, not like I have a hate boner against academia, right? But like I was very happy to see that they were willing to confront those obstacles in their own work. And that, I don't know if their answers were the most satisfactory. I think the most that they said was that the worst, I think one thing I really appreciated that I do agree with, one of the problems with academia is establishing a canon. Like the desire to get a canon going, basically. And it's like, you have to talk about Miyazaki and Oshii. What's your Ghost in the Shell take? And Akira, and Metropolis, right? And a lot of people talk about the same group of shows, but they don't really talk about Dazaki or, a lot of these popular titles, right? Or even the seasonal stuff. There's a lot of holes in their canon. It's very narrow. Maybe Shinkai, Hosoda, right? Cone, of course. But maybe Rintaro. How about Rintaro? Yeah, Sorry if I can't think of more examples than that. Yeah, but like I think it's important that they address their own shortcomings for sure. And I like again that they're expanding into YouTube and making this available on YouTube and as a discussion like this, because that's kind of my problem with them is that like a lot of them are still trapped in that era of the 2000s where they're writing the books and you gotta buy the books and making the money. And like they're not on the platforms that people are on, like YouTube. People watch YouTube videos, like especially the audiences you should reach. That would become the next generation of academics. I think the next generation of academics are these YouTubers, like Steve-um and myself and Pause and Select. And not that we're trying to boast ourselves as academics, right? I'm saying the people that are putting in the work and this research and most importantly, getting this information out there to the public, the people will be able to know and watch it. You just write a book, maybe the most hardcore fans will pick it up or buy it, but not the mainstream, right? And I think getting your message out there is just as important as what your message is and how much and how you're saying it and everything. I don't know. There's more things to this, and I hope that I want them to be more on the platforms that people are consuming on Twitter, or Instagram, and not I don't need them to be social media moguls or something, but have an effort. I think. Anyway, not like that's a huge problem, but I think that's something to consider for sure. But I liked their insights and I was happy to listen to all that. It was good to hear. But I don't have too much else to say because it was a little, like 9 hours ago since I listened to it. Because I listened to it before the car ride. Because I had to, I couldn't download it because it was too long, even to listen to it. So, oh well. But I listened to it way back before the trip, like this morning. And now it's like 12 hours later. So I don't have too much that I recall. But thank you for everyone for sending this my way. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more episodes from this. It's so exciting. I think that's the best part. It's not a one and done type of thing. That's great. Cartoon Cipher with a better video than Red Bart. I'm sorry. Not sorry to keep digging on Red Bart. Why do voice actors get recast? And it's big. It's a just as big video as their censorship video, and just as involved. Like with how many clips that Avi is pulling and the making this an experience and the narrative that they're weaving here where like they kind of avoid talking about Evangelion multiple times. They have like little teases before they actually talk about it towards the end of the video. And I really like that they're incredibly well researched and it's a Cipher video. I could praise it for the same. I told Avi it's like it is their best video since the censorship video, and it's on the same par, I think. But in that regard, it's again, it's at that level that I know that they can reach and have been revealed that they can reach kind of deal. So it wasn't so surprising that this turned out so well. I don't want to just parrot their points really. I guess that would be the most extent that I could. Again, I think this is how you would want to make a video like this, as accessible, entertaining, compelling, and with so many examples that all feel firsthand, even though they say at the beginning of the video, the majority of this information is publicly available. Like, they didn't just get exclusive, they don't have anything exclusive. They're just as much in the dark about a lot of this stuff as we are. In fact, I kind of know some things that they didn't know, because I'm technically a member of the industry now. And my boss tells me things that, I'm under non-disclosure agreements that they don't know. So like it was weird like that, right? It's interesting. But yeah, like it's this is the kind of video I would want to see, and any other week I would think it's easily the best video of the week. Easy. But unfortunately I don't have too much to say about it. Because again, it was very like it has all the same merits of the censorship video. I started to keep bringing that video up, but like that's kind of how I feel about it. Again, really polished job, and then they know it. It's great. Fuck yeah. Goddamn. Core finally put out his Magical Girl video, the Birth of Magical Girl anime, where he goes over every single Magical Girl anime, doesn't watch all of them. It's in the same vein as his 1989 video, where he kind of gives you his general impressions of it and kind of, segment by segment. And they feel very similar to his segments in 1989 as well. And also with the fact that the vast majority of these anime, I think almost all of them that he talks about, I think all of them except Cutie Honey, I'm pretty sure, aren't fully subtitled. Like, pretty much none of them. It's insane. Like, really, what the fuck? I can't believe how big this blind spot is for the English-speaking audience. And of course, I love the thoroughness that he has here, even though he doesn't have the most to say about the ones he didn't like. Like, I don't feel like I was all that informed about the two in particular. Like, well, the one I thought that I felt was not the best was obviously because I'm not that much of a negative person, right? Obviously, but I think with Korra, it's just because I don't feel like I got the idea of what this show is about. I don't have the thorough understanding of it, which was the one where like she kind of manipulates the family into loving her, and like I can't even describe it. I don't even remember the name is. She has like reddish hair. It's like the one that he didn't like a lot. Not like hated, but like, yeah, didn't like. And I just think that it didn't have too many specifics for me, or like, where does it go from here? Because that was like the first episode. So it's like, what's the progression of this show? Like, what's the core of this? What would it be about then? Like, and I just felt very lost about that. But everything else, I love his Sally segment to bits. I think it's great. And especially Loon Loon, the one that's on the thumbnail, mate, the blonde girl. That's a really interesting pick. I mean, I don't know, pick. You just watched all of them. There's no pick here. But he does go into some of the most detail because he really liked this one. He saved it kind of best for last kind of deal. And no, it looks fantastic. Really good production. And I mean, I'm just going to parrot his shit, but like, I was noticing that there was a lot of parallels to contemporary Mahou Shoujo and some other show. Like, this has very proto Naja vibe. Ashino Naja. Like, this is very out of Naja's page, but with like, she's traveling and has this mission and whatever, and she meets a bunch of people that happen to like her kind of deal. It has those vibes, I think. Well, that was weird. My video stopped. Yeah, it has those vibes. It was really interesting. That was the most compelling, I think. I loved that. But again, it's exactly what I love about Korra's content, with him really venturing out into this interesting stuff. And I love his justification of like why we watch this stuff and why he's interested in this sort of thing, and his history with Magical Girl anime. That was always very well handled. And I like a lot of the tricks that he does throughout the video. They're very subtle and, not too much fireworky, but I always appreciate them. It shows that he really cares about the craft and what he puts into these videos and the look of them without like breaking his back over it. You can tell that there's like, oh, I'm still editing this video, it's been forever kind of deal. Totally fair. It be like that, huh? But yeah, of course I love this video. It scratches so many itches that I love, that I always have, and I love seeing from him. Of course I love this video. Duh. And holy shit, HazelNeverTalks put out an album-length AMV. Yeah! And it's an album. I'm pretty sure this is I was not familiar with the artist. And does she put it in the description? She time codes it. I wanted to make this. There's I found it. The album is Carrie and Lowell. And I think she uses like all the tracks from that album. Maybe not all of them, but I feel like all of them. And so it was literally an album-length AMV. Fuck yeah. But what she does is syncing it to Kyoto Animation. And you're thinking, oh, cool, KyoAni tribute. It gets even better, my friend. Because she's choosing some deep cuts. Some, like, not all from, like, pre-K-On, because she shows Bajano Studio. She uses Bajano Studio for one song, and then the sequel, Bajano Mita Umi, for another one. And then for 3 different songs, she's doing Munto, Munto 2, and Munto 3. Canon Air Clanad, Fumofu Second Raid, like, like the really deep cuts. And I so appreciated that because, look, not like I hate the KyoAni style of like the K-On face or like their kind of contemporary character designs, but it's a little easy. It's a little bog standard. I really appreciated that she used these kind of deep cuts and again, like, using the same album, and it was just a gorgeous experience and really like melancholic because it's a very acoustic, somber, emotional album. The first time I ever heard of it, Carolyn Lowell by the artist Sufjan Stevens. I've never heard of this guy. I never heard any of his music, but I loved that. I loved the album. Again, this is why we make these album-length AMVs, right? Is to entice people to check out an album that they may not have listened to all the way in another case, as well as showing off these anime that we wouldn't have seen otherwise, right? I was so happy that she chose stuff that like wasn't obvious. Like, I think the most popular is obviously Clannad and After Story, but those really work with the songs that she's using here. And then in terms of the technical aspects, I'm very happy she was stripped back with this. It was mostly just very smart clip selection, but also kind of a little lackadaisical clip selection. Like, I felt like clips lasted to their full length, and it wasn't all that syncopated. It was a lot of it she chalked up to coincidence or like happenstance, I think. It was very like not meticulous. It was the opposite of meticulous, I guess. But I think that's very compelling, because it's like that's one of the appeals with making AMVs is when like a moment syncopates in a way you didn't intend to or want, but then it does, and you're like, whoa! I have to clear my phone, I guess, of some storage space, I guess, because it keeps fucking stopping. It's awesome. I love the syncopation. I love the choice that she has here. Yeah. So of course I loved this video. And also the some of the tracks, not all of them, which made it feel like a lot of it was very deliberate. She was able to mix the audio for some dialogue, basically. And she's so much better at it than me, dude. Oh my god, I could never. Like, I tried to do it for the My Chemical Romance segment with Ava to try to get past the copyright, and it was ass. It was ass! I mean, I kind of do it with the Joe segment, but like, I mean, that worked, I guess, but that's hard. That's so hard to do, and it was, again, it's not every track that she does this, but the few that it does, it's very deliberate and very interesting and evocative. The whole album is very emotional and impactful, and I really liked it. Yeah, of course I love the fucking shit out. It's because I had those videos downloaded, I bet. Of course. Anyway, I should probably wrap this up and then clean my phone proper. But no, of course I love Hazel's video. This freaking AMV fucking album shit. And she made several other AMVs that I didn't even watch. I haven't gotten to them yet, but obviously I want to watch them. But that was the juice, the spice, the meat, the dinner. Yum, yum. Fuck yeah. Oh my god. I'm so happy to hear it. That was fantastic. But, sorry. Normally I would have made that the best video of the week. Or Cores. Or Cartoon Ciphers. They were all very good. But I don't know how many... I don't know. I don't think people would probably let me down if I would probably let me live it down if I didn't put my own video, I guess, as the best video of the week, and maybe the best video you'll see all year. I hope you think that. I hope you enjoy it. What Inspired Gurren Lagann is finally out after 6 months. since the pandemic began, I started working on this video. Not the very beginning, but like a month, whatever. Long time. 2 hours of dope shit. And it's 5 parts, so you can watch it in chunks if you have to. I get it's a time investment. And a little, definitely very involved. It's intense. It doesn't want you to look away. It wants you to pay attention. And it's not like there's no lull, really. And I'm very proud of that. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you liked it. Sorry to make this vain, I guess, to end the digest with, but I think a lot of people love it, and it's doing well so far. As well as I guess I can hope for. Yeah, but I'm very glad people like it, and I'm looking forward to what it changes in what it inspires other people to do. If you haven't watched it yet, spoilers. I make it very inspiring. I'm trying to direct that inspiration to you, and because I know that videos like it do that for me, and this video wouldn't be like this if I wasn't motivated enough to impress all of you and to show you what I can do in the presence of my fellow YouTubers, I guess. Like my fellow YouTubers. If knowing what they can do, I didn't want to disappoint, I guess. And even with how long I was watching and getting used to it, it was very hard to see that in some days. But I'm very happy for those people who have finished it so far and have given me feedback. Thank you, seriously. I'm waiting for some of you to give me feedback. I'm waiting for some of you to watch it, but I understand. It's a 2-hour video. You don't got all day. Yeah, but I'm very happy you guys enjoy it. I'm not gonna waste much more time than that. Thank you for watching it. And thank you for watching this episode of AniTube Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know how long it is because my recording stopped a number of times. Great. Thank you to my patrons for supporting this digest, including Beamburst, Hazel, Kuiper, My Anime Pod, Najbeb, Unique Namosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a good week. Yo, peace.